I'm Patty Barr. I'm the director of ICATER, which is the Iowa Center for Assistive Technology, Education and Research in the College of Education at the University of Iowa. We have Kyle with us today, and this is part of a video series where we're talking about the use of assistive technology and other things that help to have people with disabilities in the workforce. This is something that's a grant funded through the University Center for Excellence on Disabilities and Development. So today, again, we have Kyle. So welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So can we just start out with tell us about yourself, some of your likes, your dislikes, just who you are.
You know, born and raised Iowa boy. So, you know, what you see is what you get. And
I see some of that Hawkeye stuff in the background.
Yeah, and you'll have to excuse me. I'm out in the garage today catching some of the warmth. I'm a big fan of the warm weather, so you can't keep me inside of four walls in the summer. So sorry about the background. I'm in my garage right now.
Oh, it's great. We just all wish that we were out there with you in your garage, and
that's it.
I'm wearing a sweater in the office. It's so cool.
Like I said, Iowa boy, what you see is what you get. Yeah, that's going to be it. So, you know, likes and dislikes for me. I love kids, my family, friends. I like the Hawks, the Cubs, sports. I like craft beer, road trips, live music festivals, technology. My dislikes, unwillingness to consider different views, perspectives, unwillingness to implement change or to consider new and different perspectives. You know, it's not that policies that, you know, some things just are basic and that don't need to be changed, but there's always room for a little bit of try. My athletic background, I was Division I athlete before my injury. I have a C4-5 spinal cord injury right now that I got in 2011. So I experienced the University of Iowa in two different lights. I came to the university and played tight end for the Hawks and got my bachelor's in health and sports studies as a high-level athlete, and then I graduated and moved on, and then I came back to the university for my master's and experienced the university in a completely different light as a quadriplegic after a car accident. Graduated in 2016 and saw some of the barriers that most individuals don't get to see. So a wide range of perspective there, and
absolutely.
Even before that. So even before that, you know, my youngest brother Nathan was diagnosed with autism at a very young age. So kind of grew up with it.
Yeah, tell us about your work aspirations.
Work. I am.
You're certified as a counselor.
I'm technically not licensed at the moment, but I do have my master's in rehab and mental health counseling. Okay. It's vocational and psychiatric rehabilitation and mental health counseling. And so we are experts in working with individuals who have disabilities and employers in the community at minimizing work barriers and helping employers accommodate for individuals who have disabilities.
Tell us about some of the barriers to the work environment. You know, whether it's social norms or workplace.
Yeah, I like social. From a social standpoint, there's a lot of preconceived notions out there or ideas from either roughly inaccurate or slightly construed sources of information. And we're a highly visual society. So what you see is not necessarily accurate information. So you have to take what you see out there in the media, in whatever it is, take it with a grain of salt and really envelop yourself into that culture. And that goes for anything across the board, in any culture that is out of the background that you're from, including disability, because I feel that, and I know this from firsthand experience, that experiencing life as an athlete and then a really privileged athlete and having everything and, you know, a pretty peachy childhood and upbringing, you know, to all of the medical cares and the struggles of coming through the degraded Medicaid system at the moment, is a difficult thing to bear. And so
even medical care, and having the medical care through our employment can
yes.
sometimes be a bit of a barrier.
It's not something that is necessarily out there that everyone can see. So that gives people the wrong idea, and it makes people feel uncomfortable as they approach in the workplace. And it's something that not only from a person sitting in my spot can feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's something in my perspective that I can feel from other people as they approach,
Mm-hmm.
from other employees, but other employees project that onto us as well. So it's something that is an integration type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that there's an issue there too, that there's not enough individuals with disabilities being hired.
I was just going to say that.
So there's not enough integration in general, so they're not used to it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's the problem in general.
Yeah. So your firsthand knowledge of some of the barriers in the workplace would make you a really excellent person to be in that field.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The just a perspective in general, to have that light and to have that eyes into that perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to have a voice
Mm-hmm.
on that end would be fantastic for any business.
So how about things like, I'm just thinking of barriers to the work environment. How about, like, we talked about some of the social norms. How about things like transportation?
Oh, yeah.
And just even getting in the door.
Personally, for me, let's see, was it last January or the one before? Boy, time's flown. I just had my driver's license taken away, and then I failed a driving test in the last year or so. So I can't drive myself personally. So I actually have to have someone drive me to work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually a big barrier for me, especially if there's, you know, even just the smallest commute. If it's not within walking distance or an accessible, and I live just outside of Cedar Rapids city limits,
Mm-hmm.
so the bus route does not extend quite far enough. It's actually just within like half a mile, or like actually it's almost a mile.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just without saying, I mean, it's just far enough. It's like,
Oh, darn.
But I can't use public transportation necessarily. So yeah, big barrier here. But I am fortunate enough that I had a lot of support And I'm very lucky in a lot of areas just to have the support and the backing that I did from family, friends, the football family there at Iowa took great care of me. I was able to get handicap accessible van. The guys at Brown Ability worked out a deal with Systems Unlimited.
I've been in your van. It's a nice van.
Yeah, it's a very nice van. It's fully automated, and it's I call it the shag and wagon. It's yeah. So
We
as long
just
as I have a driver, it's
it.
great. Yeah. Yeah, that would be nice. It would be. If it was a joy, if the regulations were a little different, I could drive it myself, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, as long as I have a driver, and usually that's just a matter of coordination. Someone willing to hop in, it's very easy as far as the hookups are concerned. I can roll right in, a couple tie downs, and good to go.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, good.
So,
Oh,
but I would say that, some sort of, avoiding, relying on a driver. It would be nice not to have to do that.
yeah, yeah,
It would be nice.
yeah. So are you working on being able to drive?
Yes, I know now after failing the driving test what it's going to take to get there. And that was a good experience.
Yeah,
I kind of
we learn a lot from failure, don't we?
Yeah. Oh boy, don't we? I've been there a few times.
We all have.
And I managed my expectations coming into that one. I knew it, but I wanted to experience it just so I knew what to expect. So
good.
I try to do that in most situations. I don't always. That's the athlete in me.
You seem like the kind of person that learns by doing.
I do. Oh, absolutely. So sometimes I'm head over heels, and then I need somebody to kind of pull me back.
Okay.
That's a good thing too. Well, with transportation, I feel like we're getting off key here.
Okay. So, do you have any? I don't know if you want to talk about assistive technology or anything that you use to make the work site less, lessen some of those barriers in the work site, or if you want to talk about, things that employers can do to make the work site. I don't know which one of those you'd like to talk about. I'm hoping you'll talk about both of them.
I'm honestly, for me, in the workplace, Patty, we've always talked about the value of space from a physical standpoint. Don't underestimate space. Scaling down projects. From a point, it comes down to that telltale argument of like, okay, are we going to scale it down from a perspective of, or from a money standpoint? Are we going to scale it down from a fire code perspective, or an ADA perspective? Like, how is that even? How are either of those an argument? Like, I know that certain projects that's just a reality, and I'm like, okay, don't scale space back. Don't scale back. Please don't. Because if you meet me in person, and I am required to sprawl my chair out at its full length, I will do it in front of you to let you know that I need space to recline back so that I don't get, pressure ulcers or anything like that.
And you're what, like 6'4" or something?
Yeah, 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah. So when you're spread out, plus a little, we need 7.
I think we measured 6. What? I don't know. We measured it.
7 feet, I think.
Yeah. It's out there when I recline back. So it's necessary. Don't underestimate that. Table height is very important. So anytime you can add something adjustable, movable, that's great. I'm all about high top tables. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'm fairly self-contained, and I'm a really very innovative problem solver. Like,
Yeah, you are.
I get that from my dad. We've just, and we've done it as efficiently and as cheap as we can,
Mm-hmm.
manage to do it. Other than that, laid back work environment, that's how I prefer it. I can
Flexible.
I can be professional, but I'm almost too rebellious for that at times. So I think it's just
That's what keeps you going, though.
it does.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just as easy, or just as easier. It depends on who you are. It depends on the person, but it's just as easy to be professional as it is for some people as it is the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be just as hard. I think some people struggle at loosening up. The other way around. I think my biggest strength is being the guy that can let his hair down and go the other way and help others do that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So what kind of what do you think about like flexible hours? Is that something that it would
Absolutely
be important?
Yeah.
Or
Absolutely.
flexible work environment? I mean, we could have done
Yeah.
this interview in person, but
Mm-hmm.
it just seemed to work that we could just do it via Zoom too.
Yeah. I've been regimented my entire life. Just as an athlete, like I prefer to be at work. Like I grind hard to be there. Like like you said, I'm better when I'm there and I'm actively engaged, and
Mm-hmm.
that's my drive, is to be there in the environment doing it. And I hate being late, but the reality of my situation is I heavily rely on other people and paid services to get me to do literally everything. After my car accident, I lost literally everything from the neck down or chest down. And, what movement you see here in my arms and hands is what I recovered. I only had a shoulder shrug at the time, and I regained what I have here, but I don't have any hand function or anything like that. So anything that I'm doing to get up and get to work, someone else is physically doing for me
Mm-hmm.
in terms of getting up out of bed and those types of things. So being able to beam in from home at the drop of a hat is very nice.
Yeah, I'm thinking
that is very, very nice.
Yeah, I'm thinking for like early morning meetings. I'm guessing that a Zoom meeting might, or some sort of a remote meeting might meet your needs, but then being able to come to work at a later time might work good too. But
yeah, or being able to stretch into an evening hour to knock out some documentation or whatever requirements are needed there. I'm even, I don't, ethics tell me, yeah, you shouldn't be pulling stuff home on the weekends, but I'm constantly sitting with some sort of technology in front of me, so and I'm always a worker, so I'm always looking around with something. So having access via a network is big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Okay.
as long as an employer is comfortable with that, and I'm all about security and things of that nature. So, whatever we would have to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So what kind of things, like in a workplace, what kind of assistive technology or adaptations would you need in a workplace?
Specifically, I have for things like computer access, for mouse. You guys probably noticed that I have a dot on my nose, obviously.
It's not real noticeable.
Yeah. I was just watching a movie, and it reminds me of a movie. I was watching Step Brothers. So it's not that noticeable on your face. Anyways, no, this is for mouse control, and it's an infrared system, but it's called the SmartNav. It's an ergonomic version, and
So basically, when you move
wherever I move this mouse
the mouse,
dot, that's where the mouse goes, and it just basically plugs in via USB. The biggest thing is I would coordinate with the IT to get the software installed on the computer, and that's just a matter of administrator lifting that.
and they even let you use it here at the University of Iowa. So it's
And there you go.
it's it's secure.
Yep. It works great. I would suggest it for anybody that's got some carpal tunnel going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I've got a little bit of that, but so I like it. I use it with a Jelly Bean like twist click switch for my clicking, which is an adaptable switch that connects directly into the SmartNav. And then I use for typing, I can use a combination of the SmartNav with the on-screen keyboard, which is a built-in feature on any Windows, Mac computer.
It's even on Chromebooks.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't used that. So.
Or your phone, for that matter.
Is it?
I mean, you think, how do you type on your phone?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It's an on-screen keyboard.
I do on-screen keyboard. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use my, I kind of get the dual screen thing going on. I have an iPad like right below where I'm viewing you right now, so I can view two screens. And that's what this little claw here is. That's my stylus pointer.
That's
so
new.
Builds a little more accuracy.
Nice.
The little blue thing on top of it is just a little invention for my medication, so I can access that independently. And that's just nothing but Gorilla Glue and Velcro wire ties. Yeah, let's see. Dragon.
Oh yeah,
Dragon, naturally speaking. If it's a PC platform, Dragon Dictate for Mac, if it's a Mac. Obviously for typing and navigation.
And that's a voice input system, right?
Yes, speech to text and navigation. I'll use it for a combination of things. So like if I'm tilting back to do pressure relief and I can't necessarily bend my head up high enough to access my mouse, like if I go out of range with this dot, I can actually use my voice to access the mouse grid feature to bounce the mouse around and click in different areas or dictate to it, and I can navigate through browsers. And I don't feel like cutting my brain off at that point in time to relieve pressure or stopping my work. Just little ways that I can kind of keep my productivity up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. How about the phone? How do you access the phone?
Yeah, phone, iPhone. Well, for employers, if you're using standard, like most employers obviously have their office phone set up, or standard office phone networks going on. Employers can contact their service providers and have it forwarded to a cell phone provider. Most employers are working with some sort of cell phones now, so that could be done with the state. When I worked at Boca Rehab, everything was just forwarded to my issued iPhone, and that has all the accessibility features built right into it. That's what I use right now. I have the iPhone 8 Plus right now.
And then is that your phone that's
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for reminding me. This one, I use a PT Legend, Voyager Legend, Bluetooth earpiece, and I can hit that button on there, and I think it's got really good voice quality on it. So, and it can connect to a couple different devices. I've had it connected to my phone. I have it connected to you right now.
Oh, okay.
And my phone and my iPad. So it can switch back and forth. So it's pretty cool. They have a newer one out, I think, that can toggle back and forth. It has a more advanced version, I think, that's got a USB for even better connective, and it's more designed for like office stuff specifically. So I'd be willing to like try that out too. I just got this because it's more for on the go personal use, and I do have another.
Well, there's no cords. I mean, cords you'd get kind of.
Cord, yeah. So having like more than one of these for battery purposes, if I'm going to be on the phone a lot, is a good idea. But these do have great battery life that I have noticed.
Cool. Okay.
How about like just even getting doors, door opener?
Yeah. Access as far as doors are concerned, the wider the better. 36 is good. I can fit through any standard size doorway, but obviously ADA says 36. But for instance, like I just had a new door put in my house, and I believe we went with 40. I think we went with 40.
42 maybe?
42, I think it was.
Probably a standard.
I think maybe we went bigger than that even.
Wow.
It's pretty big.
You're a pretty big guy. You're a football player.
Yeah, the diet's been working though, so I haven't. I've managed
your
not.
shoulders are wide and you're tall. I mean, I don't know.
Well, yeah, these shoulders have kind of sunk in a little bit, quite a bit since football, but the diet is. I've managed to not expand to the side anymore, like hair wise. So that's good.
All right. Well, good.
I make sure that was my goal. Is I am still going to fit through standard doors, but I will tear up your doors far less if they're ADA or beyond.
Yeah.
And door openers wise, I'm pretty sure a lot of that is wireless now, so you don't have to tear into things as much when it comes to door openers. And that goes for like individual offices, things like that. For me, opening doorknobs are not necessarily something that I can do. Approach and things of that nature you got to think about all those little things. I'm all over that stuff.
Yeah, I know you helped us here to get the timing right for how long the doors needed to stay open. So that was important too. kind of a little.
Timing and an approach. You can never keep them, depending on what it is, whether it's an outdoor type thing or if it's an office type thing. The timing, usually keeping it open longer is never a bad thing. People are always
in the winter.
yeah, and the biggest thing, like usually when they put them in, people are, the builders are like, thinking efficiency, close that thing, save your bills. The heat is, that's the goal. So, which is understandable, but
Okay.
want some dinged up doors.
And you mentioned I just want to mention you said something about high top tables. Why are those important?
Well, high top or height adjustable. Yeah. Because I'm 6'4", 6'5", and the size of my wheel, my body size in general requires a certain size of chair, power chair, just because I have to have certain body angle to distribute weight. And I've been asked before, well, why don't they just make your chair a little bit smaller? Like, why don't they move you down? Well, I've got to be at a certain body angle to distribute weight. Complicated. And well, anytime I go into standard restaurant and everybody's sitting down at their table, and here I come rolling in and I'm like a bulldozer moving the whole. I'm sitting 3 feet above everyone. And I literally, these tables come up to my shins. Yeah, for me to actually roll underneath at the table, do you remember what our measurement was?
I was thinking that exact same thing. I think it was like 42 inches. I mean, that's pretty.
Yeah, well,
standard table is about
having the ability to, with a light switch on the side, for me to actually adjust that on my own. Is very helpful. iCater's got a really good.
And you can do that.
Yeah, and I can do that. So that was one thing that was really helpful when I had my office.
And then other people can use your office when you're not there, and they could have your.
Yeah, that's something that anyone could benefit from.
Yeah, so it's kind of that universal design concept.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything underneath also, I find a big barrier, like a lot of depth underneath, because my feet also kick out quite a ways. Now, I know a lot of places are going with plugins in the floors. As long as those cords and outlets are managed pretty well underneath, I'm not going to tangle up and electrocute myself or something. That'd be good.
Yeah, we wouldn't want that.
Yeah, no.
Well, hey, are there any other, are there any other tips for employers, or any other technologies that you think would be helpful?
In meetings, because I'm a creative guy. I'm a meeting type guy. I can throw stuff out there. I'm really good at taking a concept or established ideas, as long as I've read it and have time to understand it. And I'm really, really good at throwing creative ideas out there at it, or abstract.
I will attest to that.
Yeah, tell me like just abstracting ideas off of something that's already there. If you're bringing materials to a meeting, like especially in paper format, anything more than one page, send it to me or out to everyone prior, before the meeting, via email or electronically.
So if it's electronic, you can.
Yeah.
So essentially,
I can handle one page, but if there's any page turning, can't do it.
Yeah.
Or
so if it's
and just send it over to me. No big deal.
Yeah. So it's if it's on the computer, you could have it up on your iPad that's on your lap.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you could swipe to turn the pages.
And it's as easy as, too, someone in the meeting just taking their phone, snap, because I can't necessarily pick my phone up or my iPad
Mhm.
and take a picture of it because the camera's on the back.
Uh-huh.
I wish I could take pictures with my eyes. Just blink and take a picture.
Yeah.
Maybe make lenses that do that. That's good.
Mhm.
But they probably already do. Don't they have that on like Mission Impossible or something?
There's got to be there's ways you can take pictures.
Google doing that already?
Yeah.
Google
Well,
has
Google Glass.
or-
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but yeah, no. Somebody can pick up their phone, take a picture of a document, and send it to me in seconds. You know, like without even leaving the meeting.
Mhm.
So, you know, those little things that I process quicker than anything. That's just the way I think a lot because I'm always constantly thinking about barriers. So,
And solutions to
yeah.
those barriers.
So, yeah, I mean, it's anxiety provoking at times,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's just a constant thing I live with. So,
Yeah.
and I've gotten very good at it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I'm harmless.
you've talked about a lot of things that would make you a great employee. But there's also some things that I don't think we've quite talked about. I mean, I think you're honest and loyal and, you've got a lot of internal strength.
Yeah, I will say that I've had to bounce back from some ugly stuff.
Absolutely.
And funny if anybody wants to hear some stories, I'd love, that's my favorite hobby is to tell them in my spare time. So I have an ability to bounce back, and so I think that's valuable in any work setting, for any company, any team out there.
And I know you're creative. That's another thing. And that.
Yeah.
And
I try to go ahead. Sorry.
And
you were asking me something.
You mentioned early on that you're able to empathize. Because you've been in this situation, you're able to empathize with other people with disabilities and really see solutions for them. And I think that's a huge plus.
Yeah, I've most situations almost every situation that I come across or that I mentor, I've done a lot of volunteer work. I've done a lot of stuff with Patty. I've done a lot of stuff at St. Luke's. I've done a lot of stuff at the U in general. People have asked me for solutions. There's different families around that I've just come out. Every single situation, I can't remember one situation where I haven't been able to offer a ton of advice and really come in the door and initially feel a ton of, right off the bat. It usually hits me right away, a ton of empathy. And that comes from just experiencing it myself.
Well, and also with
my
your
family. Family, the people around me. But I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from all those people on the solutions I've been able to identify for them. Because I know in those moments, the amount of stress and anxiety that's provoked in those moments. I remember my parents going through, dealing with my injury after dealing with so many years of my brother's severe autism. They were just destroyed. And so so much information went right over their head. It's, that was my number one thing is I totally understand how overwhelming that moment can be. And
Mhm.
I think that's how a lot of employers and HR people feel when
Mhm.
they're supposed to meet compliance.
Mhm.
And so I just think I think that's where I can fill the gap.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for talking with me today and letting us share your story. And I look forward to working with you again.
Sounds good. I really appreciate it, Patty.
All right. Well, thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.